There's a strange silence spreading across modern life. Not in the streets or in our homes, but deep within us. It's the silence that comes when nothing moves you anymore. Anati, when you've seen it all, tasted it all, and still feel nothing. We live in the most comfortable era in human history. Every desire is one click away. Every craving has an instant cure. And yet we've never been more restless, more anxious, more emotionally numb. This is the paradox of our time. We were promised everything, and it left us feeling nothing. It starts slowly. You wake up and check your phone before you even open your eyes. You scroll, you laugh, you move on. Moments of stimulation that vanish in seconds, and then, when something real happens, joy, pain, love, you barely feel it. It's not that we stopped feeling altogether. It's that we stopped feeling deeply. We became addicted to surface-level emotion. The quick hit, the digital thrill, the endless scroll of almost living. Dr. Enambius, a professor of psychiatry at Stanford and author of Dopamine Nation, calls this the pleasure-pain balance. She explains that the brain doesn't separate pleasure and pain. They exist in the same circuit. Every time we chase pleasure, we push that balance out of place, and the brain compensates by dulling our ability to feel. The more pleasure we seek, the less alive we become. We've flooded our minds with dopamine until the real world feels too slow, too quiet, too empty. And when that silence returns, that is when the screen goes dark, we panic. Because silence now feels like suffering. The system isn't broken. It's designed this way. We live in what some researchers call the dopamine economy, and an ecosystem built to hijack our attention, one notification at a time. Apps are not just tools, they're slot machines. Every scroll, every new sound is a hit of micro reward. It's not entertainment, it's engineered dependence. Cal Newport, in his book Digital Minimalism, wrote that we've lost the ability to be alone with our thoughts. Solitude used to be a skill, now it's an anxiety trigger. We've built a culture where stillness feels like failure. If we're not busy, we feel worthless. If we're not connected, we feel invisible. And when we do stop, and when everything finally goes quiet, we realize we've forgotten how to feel without stimulation. It's not just social media, it's the food that comforts but never nourishes. The endless entertainment that fills the silence but empties the soul. The constant rush for more speed, more pleasure, more distraction. But the more we fill, the less we feel. We've traded the full spectrum of emotion for the safety of numbness. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps of World War II, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that suffering without purpose destroys the spirit, but suffering with purpose transforms it. Modern life has eliminated much of our suffering, but in doing so, it has also erased much of our meaning. We no longer endure, we escape. We no longer confront, we scroll. We no longer build, we consume. Johann Hari in Lost Connections describes how modern disconnection from community, from purpose, from nature, fuels depression and emotional detachment. He found that many people who feel broken are not chemically imbalanced. They're socially and spiritually starved. We've mistaken stimulation for connection, and we're drowning in comfort while starving for meaning. This is the invisible price of the modern age. A world that gave us everything except the capacity to feel it. We used to feel awe when we looked at the night sky, and now we take a photo, post it, and move on. The moment becomes content, not memory. Our hearts are not broken. They're desensitized. We feel too much, too often, about things that don't matter, and too little, too rarely about the things that do. Every like, every notification, every fleeting reward teaches the brain that emotion is disposable. And slowly, we lose the ability to hold on to anything real. That's why relationships feel shallow, why joy feels forced, why sadness feels unbearable. We've trained ourselves to chase comfort instead of connection, to escape pain instead of learning from it. But the truth is, emotional numbness is not freedom. It's a cage built from comfort, a life without depth, without intensity, without risk. And deep down, we know it. The way back isn't complicated, but it is hard. You have to detox from the constant noise. You have to reintroduce silence, boredom, discomfort, the things that used to shape your soul. Dr. Lembach writes that the cure for overstimulation is abstinence, to step away long enough for the brain to recalibrate. In her studies, even 2 weeks without artificial dopamine spikes can restore balance, energy, and emotional clarity. But this isn't just about screens. It's about living deliberately again. Go for a walk without your phone. Eat without distraction. Listen without interrupting. Let boredom return. And watch how creativity slowly follows some goals. Because the absence of stimulation is not emptiness, it's the space where meaning grows back. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the signal that you're still alive. You can't selectively numb emotions. When you block sadness, you also block joy. When you suppress fear, you suppress courage. The goal isn't to live without pain, often is to feel it fully, to let it teach you, refine you, sharpen you. Every time you face discomfort, instead of running from it, you reclaim a piece of your humanity. You begin to remember what it feels like to care again. Feeling deeply requires rebuilding slowly. Discipline becomes the structure that holds you steady when the world pulls you toward numbness. Cal Newport calls this deep living, the deliberate pursuit of meaning through focus and attention. It's about choosing what deserves your energy and letting go of what doesn't. Modern life rewards speed, but meaning grows in slowness. So slow down, read instead of scroll, write instead of post, reflect instead of react. The more intentional you become, the more alive you feel. Imagine what would happen if we all began to feel again. If we allowed silence to speak and pain to teach. If we stopped numbing and started noticing. The first thing you'd feel might be grief for all the years spent half awake. Then a flicker of hope. The realization that the numbness was never the end, only the symptom. You are not broken. You are overstimulated, overconnected, and undernourished. You were never meant to process this much noise. You were meant to feel the world, not consume it. So step away, turn down the volume, and listen to what remains when everything else is gone. That faint heartbeat you hear, that's you coming back to life. Music fades into silence. A breath, a pause. The goal is not to feel more, it's to feel again.